Hi. So I forgot to record the intro, and it's now 3 in the morning. I'm very tired. So all of us have that one game that we love, and that everyone else hates. For me, it is this. Alright, get out of here. What's that? You're telling me that a majority of people love that game, and I'm misremembering it completely? Oh, I have played this game once every year since it originally came out on the Dreamcast. I love this game, except I play it more and more, and I keep finding more flaws with it. But despite that, I wanted to break down for you one of my favorite games of all time.
I know there are hardcore Sonic fans that love the 3D Sonic games, but then there are those who despise them and sneeze on me anytime I say I enjoy a majority of them. I wanted to take this time to gush and also pick apart one of my favorite games to this day and attempt to delve into what little plot there is. This is going to be a different type of video. I included the story because once you play one level of each character, you essentially are repeating the same thing over and over again. Sonic Adventure 2 starts as most Sonic games typically do, with Sonic escaping military custody.
Over. That's a 10-4. Cargo secured on board and... What?
Didn't copy that. Over.
Gone. He's taken out everyone aboard and...
What's wrong?
What in the
Come
world?
in. Over.
Freeze! What do you think you're doing? Get that hedgehog!
Am I the only one who noticed that Sonic apparently murdered everyone on board and then got away with no issue? No? Just me?
This is typically the level that everyone remembers, and for good reason. It's awesome. This LA-esque-inspired level has an amazing introduction with you landboarding a portion of the level and plenty of fast that the Sonic games are known for. Cityscape is one of the best 3D Sonic levels ever made. It's fast-paced, you're vandalizing large portions of the city, the level is designed well, and I am blinded by nostalgia every time I play this level. It does a perfect job of showing you how the Sonic levels are going to be for the entirety of the game. You're introduced to grinding on rails, which was a new mechanic to the Sonic franchise at the time. And who could forget the famous scene where Sonic almost gets run over by a disproportionately large truck?
Look at this. What company commissioned to build this? Do you need a special license to drive it? Who's driving it? I have so many questions.
I do need to mention the biggest enemy and greatest challenge you're going to face in this game is the absolutely broken camera. It hates you and you hate it, and without a doubt it will result in a broken controller or a dead character. It's going to get you killed or infuriate you. Moving on, immediately following the truck chase, we were thrown into a boss fight with a fixed camera and virtually no room to go fast. You know, the point of Sonic? Observe as I barely move and still beat the boss. I know this is targeted at younger audience, but come on. The audience, and Sonic, are then introduced to Shadow, a hedgehog who wields a gun at a later date and has an obsession with a 12-year-old girl. We find out somehow Shadow was mistaken for Sonic, and that's why Sonic was taken into custody?
So you're telling me that this got mistaken for this? I think everyone in the Sonic universe is just racist.
With Sonic Adventure 2, you change characters as the story progresses. Sonic's fast-paced levels, Tails' terribly slow and clunky levels, and finding pieces of the Master Emerald with Knuckles. Immediately following the Sonic level, we are thrown into Knuckles looking for the Master Emerald that was shattered by a bat with tits, and Eggman murmuring in the background for some reason. Find all 3 pieces of the emerald per level and you're done. You luckily aren't looking blind, as a meter will ding the closer you get to an emerald. The levels are nothing amazing, they're entertaining enough and the music is good enough that it makes me forget I am getting frustrated at my own lack of direction finding the emeralds. But let me just say, the Knuckles levels do have the best music in the game, besides the City Escape song. We then find Tails, who is attempting to break Sonic out of a prison because sure, let's let him commit a felony at the age of 8. Tails levels are bad levels. They're slow, they're boring, they're...
Why? You have to hear that sound every time you lock onto an enemy as Tails. The back of the box should have read that tinnitus was a possible side effect of this game.
Unlike the Knuckles and Sonic levels that involve having a decent sense of control, the Tails levels are grinded to a halt in his slow-ass transformer. Controlling Tails is not fun. There is a slight delay to his movements, especially when jumping and hovering, causing you to miss platforms and die, and die, and die, and die. In general, they're just not fun. I would have preferred just running around and flying his tail so much more than whatever the hell this is. This level in particular is just designed poorly. I can't tell you how many times you just have to stand around waiting for an enemy to appear or for you to find an enemy to get a door open. Stop committing felonies and stop having shitty levels, Tails. So Sonic stalker Amy shows up with her credit card. They both show distrust towards a black hedgehog.
You mean that black hedgehog?
Did you see it?
and Sonic Escapes. Again, another great Sonic level. Super fast, great level design, good set pieces, you get to run on a fucking aircraft carrier, unlock the first upgrade of the game, and go along huge lines of rings with the light shoes. And for some reason, and I still to this day don't understand it, you jump on a rocket, go halfway to space, jump off, land conveniently in the steel womb, and you win the level. What a wonderful clusterfuck of a time this stage is. We escape a prison, avoid the military, avoid a carpet bombing, go halfway to space. If you're any type of Sonic fan, that shouldn't even make you blink. That's just part of the course for the 3D Sonic games. Now, somehow we're in the forest, our first confrontation with Shadow, a boring as hell boss fight, and they talk over each other the entire cutscene.
To me? Ha! You're not even good enough to be
I'll
my
make you eat those words!
The one interesting thing that did happen during this boss fight was this. Eggman lets Shadow know that the island is about to fucking explode. Again, you're gonna hear this a lot. A great Sonic level. The timer isn't necessary, it gives you 8 minutes, and just dicking around I beat it in a little less than 3. Still though, great level design, you do what Sonic does, and that is go fast. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes where it grinds to a halt, but still an overall fun level. I've always loved the way they make the mandatory forest levels in Sonic games, they're always so fun and aesthetically pleasing. You also go bungee jumping, and bungee swinging. So yeah, good thing Tails decided to show up because yeah, the island explodes. And now, the best Knuckles level in the game because of these banging beats. This level stands out in a good way, and this barely fits to what's going on in the game kind of way. It's a cool, big level, lots of traversal, lots of climbing, but it just doesn't fit overall with what the game has been so far. You fight the camera as usual, collect the 3 emeralds, glide around, and boom, next level.
Citizens of Earth, lend me your ears and listen to me very carefully. My name is Dr. Eggman, the world's greatest scientist, and soon to be the world's greatest ruler. Now witness the beginning of the greatest empire of all time.
Yeah, Eggman had his own moon, asteroid, whatever that was, and blew that up to blow the moon up. Tails then sets out to find Eggman, in another terrible Tails level. Thankfully, the level is more open this time without as many restrictions, such as killing the enemies to open the door. But great, now all the roads drop from under you, and a lot more platforming as you have now unlocked the hovering power-up. Platforming was already a challenge due to the camera, but doing it as Tails is akin to torture.
This 8-year-old anthropomorphic fox seems to have the strongest legs in the world. Wait a minute. He has no date of birth. His hair is fox brown. His place of birth is none. He has the complexion of a fox. His race is fox, but has no nationality and no occupation. Don't become a felon because they'll do no research on you. And what's the 1 million for? 1 million what?
Tails, who is now the most wanted child in the world, traverses a highway that I can only assume is in purgatory due to the lack of everything. Beat the level, and Knuckles is in a mine. For some reason. Knuckles gets the short end of the stick in this game. They knew they had to include him into the game and barely gave him any reason for being here other than my emerald. This is one of my least favorite levels in the game. Greedy Sonic games were not meant for underwater, especially when one of the objectives is finding small items. Too many small rooms, the anxiety of drowning, and a terrible camera in a cramped area result in a not so great level. At least the music is good. Knuckles erupts from the sewers to bug Amy and Tails, Eggman has been straight up blackmailing the president, and Tails needs to track him down to intercept the call. The most out of place level in the game. We are yet again blessed with the world's longest bridge into purgatory where we are driving in an attempt to track down the president. This level is the epitome of bad controls. You will hit everything, and steering is nearly impossible. While not the worst level in the game, it just feels incredibly out of place. This could have been and should have been a short cutscene. There is a multiplayer where racing is a part of it, and I feel that the only way they could justify having it in there was to include it into the campaign. So, we track down the president, who might I add looks dashing, and interrupt a call between him and Eggman, who threatens to blow up the country if he doesn't comply to his demands. What are his demands? Who knows? We find out for some reason that Eggman is now in space.
I got it! He's transmitting from the space colony Ark!
Okay.
You know, the older I get, the more far-fetched Sonic plots become to me. I just accepted this as completely possible and a normal thing as a child. Another shitty Tails level. We find out Eggman's base is in a pyramid. The worst Tails level in the game due to all the platforming, spaced out jumps, and wrestling with the camera in enclosed spaces. It results in a piss poor level. First off, not a fan we get 2 Tails levels in a row. Cut that shit out right now, Sonic Team. The aesthetic is gorgeous though. Love the Egyptian theme they got going on for the next few levels. Luckily, I have played the game enough times to know how to get through the Tails levels pretty quickly. Smash cut to the level starting with us as Sonic inside a pyramid. It's an okay Sonic level. A lot of stopping to open up stupid timer doors, getting molested by ghosts. There's one thing I particularly enjoyed about this level. They introduce you to these hourglasses that open doors throughout the stage, as well as ghosts that hold you in place. They then combine the two with a large straightaway that you need to haul ass through before the timer ends to get through the door while avoiding the ghosts that can hold you down. Nothing really else of note for this level. Sonic and company arrive at a door. Door needs a key. Knuckles level. An alright Knuckles level, but now keys instead of emerald. The map is very close quarters and is essentially a large triangle. You traverse the different areas through digging through the walls. Again, using the hourglass timers, which feel unnecessary for a Knuckles level. This level's okay, but as Knuckles who can glide, there's almost no point to glide in this level. You can get to any part of the level by just running or climbing. Okay, so fuck this boss. Nightmares. This gave me nightmares as a kid. It still creeps me out. Rainbow tongue looking ass bitch. It is probably the most creative boss fight in the game though. So he has a mini ghost behind him with an hourglass you need to hit to expose him to the sun, which allows the sun in, making him vulnerable. But you can only hit it when he has his back turned while doing a specific attack. He almost never does it and it takes forever to beat him. Eggman knew we were here. Somehow controlled and or made a fucking golem, Sonic makes him explode. Another somewhat creative boss, you need to reach his back and jump up to his head. The platforms grow closer to falling every time the boss hits them, but it's never truly a challenge.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shuttle liftoff.
So you're telling me that Eggman stole a NASA space shuttle, hollowed out one of the pyramids of Giza, and allowed anthropomorphic animals to then steal it and chase him to space?
Doing all right? We should be landing soon.
The hatch doors are
Don't
open.
sweat it, Knuckles. The only thing in the cargo bay are those
What do you
Master
mean, don't
Emeralds.
sweat it?
Right?
Land the
Knock
shuttle
it
and
off,
let me
Knuckles.
out.
We're gonna crash this thing if you keep that up. Oh no! Don't touch that lever! Whoa!
This poor localization team, they tried their best, but some of this stuff is just bad. So we arrive on Ark, a research facility that is now defunct for reasons not disclosed to us yet. Tails created a fake Chaos Emerald in an attempt to disrupt the real Chaos Emeralds, which are powering the nose cannon from earlier. And another Tails level. We gotta blow up a generator. This is actually an okay Tails level. I just mute the Tails levels due to the eternal screeching you have to endure. Love the space levels, even the Tails one. It utilizes the hover in a much better way. You actually get to go into space, which is cool. You have to be careful what you lock onto because you can accidentally shoot yourself out into space. Plus, I enjoy the ending where you're falling down a section of the Ark and have to actively avoid obstacles while using the hover mechanic, and then this leads to a little mini-boss. If they had made all the Tails levels similar to this, Tails would have fared much better in my eyes, but having one decent level doesn't make up for his overall garbage of a playthrough. Knuckles in space. Huge open area, lots of gliding, plenty of areas to hide his dumb emeralds. The level design is really well done with the verticality, but everything is sectioned off. There's essentially the ground level, mid-level, and then top level, while it works as a funnel and gets more closed off the higher you go. The level is still great. Depending on the RNG though of where the emeralds spawn, you could be looking around for a while, which is probably my only complaint for the level. Rouge, the titted bat, appears to throw a hissy fit and you fight her over a gorge of molten lava.
Why? Whose idea was it to sexualize a bat? Who in the board meeting went, "You know, son, I love the idea, but where are the tits?"
This fight blows. As soon as you start getting thrown around, it becomes complete luck whether or not you're going to be able to see her, let alone hit her. Once you beat the bat, you save her life. She calls you a creep and sues you for harassment.
That's why you saved me. You're such a creep.
Knuckles finally has the rest of his Master Emerald and fucks off for the rest of the game. Okay, so, I hate to admit it, but this is my least favorite Sonic level of the game. They introduced these gravity switches, while cool in theory, should have been used for Knuckles or Tails. It slows down the pacing too much for a Sonic level. The cool moments out in space are when you're not controlling it. It's very close quarters, which is unlike the other Sonic levels we have gotten so far. So overall, just a below average Sonic level, especially the ending. Dear God, I got stuck on this so much as a kid, and I struggled with it as an adult. This part of the level is hell due to these gravity switches. I died. A lot.
Finally figured out why they put Amy in the game.
They literally only used Amy in the game to have her eventually be held hostage, and a reason for Sonic to show up and get blasted out into space and fucking die. Tails attempts to murder a middle-aged man in a terrible boss fight, and Sonic manages to use one of Shadow's abilities with a fake Chaos Emerald and appears in front of Knuckles. Oh, so I guess he didn't fuck off. Sonic runs off to blow up the cannon with the fake emerald. Alright, besides City Escape, best Sonic level in the game. Rails. Rails everywhere. An insanely fast-paced level with shortcuts that can be used and found everywhere. A minimalist design, but such a cool concept. You can literally jump off a ledge and skip about a minute of the level. There are several cases of this early on, but as the level progresses, it slows down a little, and you end up back on platforms. Not necessarily a bad thing, the level does a good job of balancing breakneck speed and good old-fashioned platforming. Oh look, it's Shadow again, the antagonist we have seen a whopping total of 2 times prior to this. Worst boss fight in the game. You're on a straightaway fighting Shadow who can and will block most of your attacks. You can typically only hit him when he uses a special attack on you, which of course he never fucking does. You can occasionally sneak in a normal attack on him, but it is so random and far in between, I just gave up that strategy. Sonic successfully does whatever he was doing, and right as the nose was about to sneeze, it begins to explode. We see Sonic, somehow dangling in space, having survived the explosion, with a thumbs up. After playing this game for years, I can admit to myself I am partially blinded by nostalgia, but the game is still really fun. Sure, I get frustrated with the bad camera and entirety of the Tails playthrough, but something about this game takes me back to a simpler time, when games focused more on fun than having some plot with a bunch of twists or gimmicks to the gameplay. It's just a simple 3D Sonic game that brought myself, and I'm sure a lot of you, joy. Whew. Thank you so much for watching. This was a weird-ass episode to do. I had so many issues capturing the Sonic game, so I apologize for any of the stuttering in the game footage. It is also 3 in the morning. I am very tired. I had a lot of fun making this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Please like and subscribe, and if you guys will want me to do the second half of the Sonic Adventure game, I could